Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today, we're diving into 10 of the most valuable U.S. coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
Imagine reaching into an old jar of coins, the kind that has been sitting on a dusty shelf for decades, and pulling out a single penny that could quietly be worth thousands of dollars. Not a gold coin. Not a silver dollar. Just one simple copper cent. What if I told you that a 1960 mint mark Lincoln penny could be the hidden key to unlocking serious money? What if the smallest coin in your pocket change was actually the beginning of your wealth story? Stay with me, because today we are diving deep into the power, the mystery, and the massive market demand surrounding the 1960 Lincoln 1-cent penny struck by the legendary United States Mint in Denver. This is not just about a coin. This is about opportunity. This is about awareness. This is about turning knowledge into profit. That in 1960, the United States was stepping into a new decade. The design of the Lincoln cent, originally created under the watch of President Theodore Roosevelt, continued to circulate widely across America. The obverse features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, you see the classic wheat ears design had already been replaced by the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of national pride and architectural strength. And at the bottom of that 1960 penny, just below the date, sits a tiny but powerful letter, D. That single letter represents the Denver Mint, a facility known for producing billions of coins that move through the veins of the American economy. Now here is where things get interesting. In 1960, the Denver Mint struck millions upon millions of Lincoln cents. On the surface, that sounds ordinary. But beneath that ordinary appearance lies extraordinary potential. Because within that massive production were coins with errors. Coins with variations. Coins with subtle details that most people overlook. And in the world of coin collecting, what most people overlook is often what serious buyers chase with passion. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your pocket change? Not glanced at it. Not counted it quickly at the gas station. But really looked at it under light. What if you already handled a valuable 1960 penny and never knew it? The 1960 Lincoln cent is famous for one very important detail: the large date and small date varieties. In 1960, the United States Mint used two different date styles. The difference may look tiny at first glance, but collectors see it instantly. The shape of the number 6, the spacing between the numbers, the way the 0 aligns with the rest of the date, these details can separate an ordinary coin from a highly desirable one. Now imagine this. You find a 1960 small date penny in exceptional condition. Crisp details. Strong luster. No heavy scratches. In circulated condition, it may bring modest money. But in uncirculated condition, especially in higher mint state grades certified by leading grading companies, the price can climb dramatically. And when errors are involved, that is when the excitement truly begins. Error coins are the rock stars of the coin world. They are mistakes that escaped quality control. And collectors love them because they are rare by nature. Think about that. A mistake made at the mint over 60 years ago could be the reason you cash a check worth thousands today. Some 1960 Lincoln cents have been discovered with repunched mint marks, double dies, and other striking anomalies. A repunched mint mark happens when the mint mark was punched more than once into the die, slightly misaligned. The result? A subtle shadow effect around the letter D. To an untrained eye, it might look like a minor flaw. To a seasoned collector, it is an opportunity, and here is the emotional truth. Fear and opportunity often sit side by side. The fear is this: what if you ignore a valuable coin and spend it for 1 cent? The opportunity is this: what if you learn to recognize it and turn it into hundreds or even thousands of dollars? The coin market in the United States is strong. It is passionate. It is competitive. Rare Lincoln cents, especially those with recognized varieties and high grades, are in continuous demand. Auctions across America, from small regional events to major national platforms, consistently feature high-grade Lincoln cents. Why? Because collectors trust the Lincoln series. It is iconic. It is familiar. It is deeply American. Picture an auction room. The spotlight shines. The auctioneer's voice rises. Bidding paddles lift in the air. Two collectors compete over a sharply struck, brilliantly preserved 1960 Lincoln penny with a recognized variety. The numbers climb. The tension builds. And in that moment, that little copper coin is no longer small. It is powerful. Now let me ask you directly. How do you sell old rare coins? How do you make sure you are not underselling a treasure? How do you go from pocket change to serious profit? How do you sell old and rare coins in the USA and understand their true value in an auction shop? The first step is knowledge. The second is verification. The third is strategy. Knowledge begins with inspection. Use magnification. Use good lighting. Study the date. Study the mint mark. Compare large date and small date varieties. Look for doubling in the letters of liberty and in God we trust. Look for unusual thickness or shadowing around the mint mark. Every tiny detail matters. Verification comes through professional grading. Reputable third-party grading services authenticate and grade coins on a numeric scale. A coin graded mint state 65 or higher can command significantly stronger prices than a lower grade example. Why? Because condition is king. Luster, strike, eye appeal, these factors transform a common coin into a premium asset. Strategy is about where and how you sell. You can approach reputable coin dealers. You can consign to major auction houses. You can explore online platforms that specialize in certified coins. The key is not rushing. The key is understanding demand. A strong coin in a strong market sells confidently. Let us pause for a moment. Quick question. If you discovered tonight that a penny in your drawer was worth $5,000, would you sell it tomorrow in the first shop you find? Or would you research, compare offers, and position yourself for maximum return? Exactly, the 1960 Lincoln cent with a recognized variety in high grade has shown strong market results in past sales. And while not every coin reaches record-breaking levels, the top examples absolutely demonstrate that even mid-century pennies can surprise the market. This is where excitement meets discipline. Yes, the idea of striking it rich from a penny is thrilling. But the real wealth comes from consistent learning. From patient searching. From understanding the difference between hype and verified rarity. Now imagine this story. A retired worker in his early 60s decides to organize his late father's coin jar. He finds several old wheat pennies and Lincoln Memorial cents. Among them is a bright 1960 small date coin with minimal wear. He researches. He compares. He sends it for grading. The coin returns with a high mint state grade and confirmed variety. He consigns it to auction. The bidding opens strong. Within minutes, the price surpasses his expectations. That coin, once forgotten in a jar, becomes a meaningful financial boost. This is not fantasy. This is the power of awareness, but here is the urgent truth. Every day, coins are spent unknowingly. Every day, valuable varieties slip back into circulation. And every day, someone who took the time to learn profits from someone else's oversight. Are you going to be the one who overlooks opportunity? Or the one who recognizes it? Let us connect the dots. From pocket change to millions is not a single leap. What if I told you that a single penny, yes, a coin so small most people toss it into a jar without thinking, could quietly hold the power to transform your financial future? Not a lottery ticket. Not a risky stock. A penny. Specifically, the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln 1 cent. And before you dismiss that idea, let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly examined the change in your pocket? When was the last time you looked at a simple copper coin and wondered whether it might be worth far more than 1 cent? Today, we are diving deep into the story, the mystery, and the extraordinary potential of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. This is not just about a coin. This is about awareness. This is about opportunity. This is about understanding how ordinary Americans, people just like you, have turned overlooked pocket change into four-figure and even five-figure auction wins. And if you stay with me until the end, you may never look at a penny the same way again. In 1971, the United States Mint struck millions of Lincoln cents at the Philadelphia Mint, which at the time did not use a mint mark. That means if you see a 1971 penny without a small letter under the date, that coin was struck in Philadelphia. On the surface, it seems common. Billions were produced. So how could something so common command serious money? The answer lies not in the ordinary examples, but in the extraordinary errors and high-grade survivors that slipped through the cracks. The 1971 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, it displays the Lincoln Memorial, introduced in 1959. Most of these coins circulated heavily. They were spent, saved, scratched, worn, and forgotten. But some were not. Some were struck with dramatic mint errors. Some were preserved in pristine, nearly flawless condition. And those are the coins that command attention at auction houses across the United States. Now let me ask you this. If a coin was made by the millions, but only a tiny fraction survived in perfect condition, which one do you think collectors fight over? The answer is obvious. Scarcity in top condition creates demand. And demand drives price point. One of the most sought-after varieties of the 1971 no-mint mark penny is the double die obverse. This is not a trick of the eye. It is not machine doubling. A true double die occurs during the die creation process, when the design is impressed onto the die more than once in slightly different positions. The result? Visible doubling in the lettering and date. On some 1971 pennies, you can see clear doubling in the words Liberty or In God We Trust. That doubling can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. Imagine this. You are sorting through a jar of old pennies. You pull out a 1971 coin. You tilt it under the light. And suddenly, you notice the letters look slightly doubled. Your heart beats a little faster. Could this be one of them? Could this be the coin collectors are searching for? Here is where excitement meets urgency. Because the market does not wait. High-grade examples of the 1971 no-mint mark double die have sold for impressive sums at major auctions. When certified in mint state condition, meaning they were never circulated and retain sharp details, original luster, and minimal marks, these coins can bring in thousands of dollars. Yes, thousands for a single penny. And what about condition? Condition is everything. A 1971 penny graded MS65, MS66, or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can multiply in value dramatically compared to a circulated example. Why? Because collectors compete fiercely for top population coins, the finest known examples in existence. The higher the grade, the fewer the coins available, the greater the demand. Let me pause for a moment and ask you something slightly uncomfortable. How many valuable coins have passed through your hands without you noticing? How many opportunities have slipped away simply because you did not know what to look for? That is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. Fear can be a powerful motivator. The fear of missing out. The fear of overlooking hidden wealth. But fear alone is not enough. You need knowledge. You need strategy. And you need action. So how do you sell old rare coins in the USA and get maximum value? First, you must identify what you have. That means learning the signs of key errors, double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and dramatic misalignments. In 1971 pennies, strong double dies and high-grade uncirculated examples are especially desirable. Second, you must authenticate and grade the coin. Professional grading provides credibility. It protects you from underpricing your coin. It also makes buyers confident, especially in high-value transactions. Auction houses and serious collectors prefer certified coins because they remove uncertainty. Now let me ask you directly. How to make money from coins. Is it gambling? No. It is positioning. It is recognizing that the numismatic market operates on rarity, condition, and demand. When you align those three factors, value emerges. Think about this. A coin that cost 1 cent in 1971, if preserved perfectly and certified at a high grade, can command prices that shock even seasoned collectors. Some pristine 1971 no-mint mark pennies in top mint state grades have reached into the thousands of dollars at auction. And dramatic double-die examples in superb condition have drawn intense bidding wars. Why does this matter to you? Because we live in a time when alternative assets are rising in popularity. Coins are tangible. They are historical. They are finite. And they are in demand. From pocket change to millions is not just a catchy phrase, it is a mindset. Every major collection started with a single coin. Every successful seller started with a single discovery. Let me interrupt for a second with a simple question. If you found a penny worth $5,000 in your drawer, would you sell it immediately, or would you first make sure you were getting the maximum possible value? That pause you just felt, that hesitation, that is wisdom. How to sell old and rare coins in USA and its value in auction shop. The most powerful platform for maximum exposure is a reputable auction house specializing in rare coins. When a coin is listed in a major auction, it is seen by thousands of bidders worldwide. Competition increases price. Private sales can be profitable, but auctions create bidding momentum. That momentum can push prices beyond expectations. Local coin shops also play a role. They offer quick liquidity. If you need immediate cash, a trusted dealer can evaluate and purchase your coin. However, for top dollar results, especially with high-grade or rare error coins, auction is often the path to maximum dollar realization. Now let us talk about urgency. The market for high-grade Lincoln cents is strong. Collectors are building registry sets. Investors are diversifying into tangible assets. As more people learn about key varieties and errors, demand increases. But here is the truth, top-quality coins are finite. There will never be more 1971 double-die errors created. There will never be more original mint state coins preserved from that year. What exists is all that will ever exist. That means if you own one, you hold a piece of fixed supply in a growing demand market. That is powerful, but let us be practical. Not every 1971 no-mint mark penny is worth thousands. Most are common. Most are circulated. However, that does not diminish the importance of searching. Because in every batch of common coins, there is the possibility of the exceptional, and possibility is where transformation begins. Picture this. A retired couple sorting through decades of saved change. A father teaching his son about coins. A woman cleaning out an inherited estate. In each scenario, there is a moment of discovery. A closer look. A magnifying glass. A spark of realization. That spark can lead to research, grading, auction, and ultimately a check that feels surreal. This iconic portrait was created by Victor David Brenner and has become one of the most recognized coin designs in American history. On the reverse of the 1975 penny, you will see the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. This classic reverse design remained in use until 2008. But what makes the 1975 D penny truly interesting is not just its design. It is the combination of mint mark, condition, possible errors, and collector demand that transforms a simple 1-cent coin into something far more valuable. The D mint mark tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The United States Mint facility in Denver has produced billions of coins over the years, and in 1975 alone, it struck more than 4 billion Lincoln cents. That number might sound enormous, and it is. With such a high mintage, you might think the 1975 D penny could never be rare, and in most cases, you would be right. Most circulated 1975 D pennies are worth only face value or slightly above, especially if they show heavy wear. If you find one in pocket change today, it is likely worth just 1 cent. But this is where serious collectors and smart sellers begin to separate ordinary coins from extraordinary ones. Condition is everything. Coin grading plays a critical role in determining value. A 1975 D penny in worn condition, with faded details on Lincoln's hair and jacket, is considered circulated. These coins are common and widely available. However, when you move into uncirculated condition, especially coins graded mint state 65, 66, or higher, the conversation changes dramatically. Uncirculated coins show no signs of wear. The original mint luster still shines across the surface. The details are sharp, the lettering is crisp, and the fields are clean. In higher mint state grades, even the tiniest marks or imperfections can impact value. Professional grading services carefully examine every surface under magnification to determine a precise grade, but the true excitement begins when we talk about errors and exceptional preservation. The 1975 D Lincoln cent was struck during a time when quality control at the mint, while generally strong, was not perfect. Overworked dies, misaligned dies, and striking issues created small varieties that collectors actively hunt for today. One type of error to look for is a double die. While major double die varieties for 1975 are more famously associated with Philadelphia issues without a mint mark, subtle doubling on Denver coins can still add value. Carefully examine the lettering in Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. If you notice strong, clear doubling that is not simply machine doubling, you could be holding something special. Another error to watch for is off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank is not properly aligned within the striking chamber. A 1975 D penny struck significantly off-center, especially if the date and mint mark remain visible, can command a strong premium. Clipped planchets are also worth attention. These are coins where a portion of the metal blank was missing before striking, leaving a curved or straight clip on the edge. Because the mint mark is located on the obverse below the date, a clipped planchet that still clearly shows the 1975 D marking can be highly collectible. Then there are coins struck on wrong planchets. While rare, transitional or wrong metal errors always generate strong interest. A 1975 D penny struck on a foreign planchet or an incorrect alloy would be considered a major mint error and could bring significant money at auction. Beyond errors, one of the most overlooked opportunities lies in color designation. Copper coins are often classified as brown, or red. A full red example retains nearly all of its original mint red luster. Over time, exposure to air and handling turns copper brown. Therefore, a 1975 D penny that remains bright, fiery red decades after it left the mint is far more desirable. Collectors pay strong premiums for high-grade red examples. A mint state 67 red coin with exceptional eye appeal can stand far above the typical market value. At that level, we are no longer talking about spare change. We are talking about serious collector money. So how do you identify a potentially valuable 1975 D penny? Start with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Examine the surfaces carefully. Look for strong strike quality, minimal contact marks, and vibrant original luster. Check for any unusual doubling, misalignment, or planchet irregularities. Weigh the coin if possible. A standard 1975 Lincoln cent should weigh approximately 3.11 grams, as it was composed primarily of copper with a small percentage of zinc. Also pay attention to storage. Coins that have been kept in original rolls, mint sets, or protective holders are more likely to remain in high mint state condition. Many collectors who saved rolls in the 1970s unknowingly preserved future treasures. Now let us talk about market demand. The Lincoln cent series has one of the largest collector bases in the United States. Millions of Americans build date and mint mark sets. Even though the 1975 D is not considered a key date, high-grade registry quality coins can ignite bidding wars. Competitive collectors aiming for the highest graded set will pay premiums for top population examples. Auction records show that when a coin is certified at the very top of the grading scale for its date and mint mark, its value can skyrocket beyond what most people expect for a modern penny, and this is where your opportunity lies. Most people overlook modern-era pennies because they assume rarity only exists in early 1900s or 1800s coins. But condition rarity is just as powerful as low mintage rarity. When billions were struck, Only a tiny fraction survive in near-perfect condition decades later. Imagine finding a blazing red, nearly flawless 1975 penny in an old collection jar or inherited coin album. Imagine sending it to a reputable grading service. Imagine it coming back with a top-tier grade that places it among the finest known examples. That single coin, once worth only 1 cent, could become the centerpiece of a serious collector's registry set. That if you are serious about selling coins for maximum value, here are 3 powerful steps. First, educate yourself. Learn grading standards. Study images of certified high-grade examples. Understand the difference between true doubling and mechanical doubling. Knowledge protects you from underselling your coin. Second, never clean your coins. Cleaning can permanently damage surfaces and dramatically reduce value. Even light polishing can remove original luster and leave hairline scratches that graders immediately detect. Third, consider professional grading for coins that appear exceptional. Certification adds credibility and opens access to higher-end buyers who demand authenticity and condition assurance. The 1975 Lincoln cent represents something larger than just a copper coin. It represents possibility. It represents the idea that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, waiting for someone observant enough to recognize it. So the next time you sort through old jars of change, estate sale boxes, or inherited collections, do not dismiss the 1975 penny. Examine it closely. Study it carefully. Because while millions were made, only a handful survive in truly elite condition, and when one of those elite examples surfaces, the market responds. There are documented cases where top-grade, fully read 1975 Lincoln cents have reached remarkable auction heights. In the competitive world of certified coin collecting, where condition is king and perfection is rare, the right coin at the right time can achieve a staggering result. Because hidden in plain sight, in old jars, dresser drawers, and forgotten piggy banks across America, there could be a small copper coin with the power to surprise you. Not a gold coin. Not a silver dollar. Just a simple 1979 Lincoln 1-cent penny. Yes, the United States of America 1979 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin millions of Americans have handled, yet very few have truly examined. This is not just about a penny. This is about opportunity. This is about awareness. And for many collectors and sellers between the ages of 30 and 65, this is about turning overlooked coins into real money. In 1979, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents to meet the demands of a growing economy. The Denver facility, officially known as the Denver Mint, struck an enormous number of pennies that year. Each coin carried the small but powerful D mint mark just below the date on the obverse side. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner decades earlier. The Lincoln cent design had already been a cornerstone of American coinage since 1909. By 1979, it was one of the most recognized coins in the world. On the reverse in 1979, you still had the classic Lincoln Memorial design, representing the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. That means the 1979 penny belongs to the long-running Lincoln Memorial cent series that began in 1959. Now here's the question that matters most to you: is the 1979 penny worth more than 1 cent? The honest answer is yes, and sometimes dramatically so. First, let's talk about ordinary circulated examples. Because billions were minted, most 1979 pennies found in pocket change today are worth face value. Maybe a few cents if they're in decent condition. That's the reality, but here's where things become interesting. Condition is everything in coin collecting. When we talk about value, we talk about grading. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state 70. The difference between a worn, circulated penny and a pristine, never used mint state example can mean the difference between 1 cent and serious money. High-grade 1979 pennies that were never circulated, especially those with strong luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks, can command significant premiums. Collectors are always searching for the finest known examples. And in modern coins, top-grade specimens are surprisingly rare. Why? Because even though billions were struck, very few were preserved carefully right from the start. Most were dumped into bags, rolled, transported, and thrown into circulation. They bumped into each other. They scraped. They lost their flawless surfaces. That's why a superb gem mint state 1979 D penny can stand out dramatically, but condition is only one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk about errors. Coin errors are where excitement truly begins. And the 1979 D Lincoln cent is no exception. Mint errors occur when something goes wrong during the striking process at the mint. These errors are not supposed to happen. But when they do, and when they escape into circulation, they can become highly collectible. Some known error types for Lincoln cents include off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, die breaks, clipped planchets, wrong planchet errors. Imagine finding a 1979 D penny that was struck off-center, with part of the design missing but the date still visible. Or a dramatic die break creating a raised line across Lincoln's portrait. These kinds of errors can multiply the value of the coin many times over. Collectors pay for uniqueness, they pay for rarity, they pay for stories, and an authenticated error coin tells a story of a mistake that slipped past the quality controls of the United States Mint. There is another factor that can elevate value: red color. Copper coins like the 1979 D penny are made primarily of copper with a small amount of zinc. When freshly struck, they shine with a bright red color. Over time, exposure to air causes oxidation. That bright red slowly turns brown. In grading terms, coins are classified as red, red-brown, or brown. A full red example from 1979 in very high mint state condition is much more desirable than a brown one. Why? Because it suggests the coin was preserved almost perfectly for decades. Think about that. A small coin, struck in 1979, preserved in near-perfect condition for over 40 years. That level of preservation is rare. Now let's talk about how you can identify a valuable 1979 D penny. Start with the basics. Look directly under the date 1979. You should see a small D. That confirms it was minted in Denver. Next, examine the surfaces carefully. Use a magnifying glass or loupe. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair-strong lettering in Liberty clean fields with minimal marks. Bright original luster. Flip the coin over and inspect the Lincoln memorial. Check the steps and columns for clarity. Look for unusual marks that could indicate die cracks or other mint errors. If you suspect you have something special, the next step is professional grading. Reputable third-party grading services encapsulate coins in tamper-proof holders and assign an official grade. Once certified, your coin becomes more attractive to serious collectors and investors. Many people underestimate modern coins because they assume old always means valuable. But rarity and high grade is often more important than age alone. For the audience watching this, those who are serious about selling rare coins and building wealth, the lesson is simple: knowledge creates opportunity. The 1979 D Lincoln penny may not sound glamorous. But in exceptional condition, or with dramatic mint errors, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a collector's prize. It becomes a conversation piece. It becomes an asset. And here's the mindset shift that separates casual collectors from successful sellers. Most people glance at a penny and see 1 cent. Experienced collectors examine a penny and see condition, strike quality, color designation, die state, and market demand. That difference in perspective can translate into real money. The coin market is driven by supply and demand. While billions of 1979 D pennies were minted, the number of top-tier certified examples is tiny by comparison. Registry collectors compete for the finest known coins to complete their sets. And when competition increases, prices rise. Imagine pulling a roll of old pennies from a bank. You search carefully. You find a blazing red, nearly flawless 1979 D cent. You send it for grading. It comes back at the very top of the scale. That 1 cent coin suddenly becomes a high-value collectible. This is why searching, learning, and examining your coins carefully matters. It's not about luck alone. It's about preparation meeting opportunity. And let's talk about another powerful factor: market timing. Coin values fluctuate based on collector interest, registry competition, and overall economic conditions. When demand spikes for top-grade Lincoln cents, prices can climb quickly. The 1979 D penny sits at an interesting intersection. It's modern enough that examples still exist in rolls and collections. Yet old enough that pristine survivors are limited. That balance creates potential. For those of you watching who dream of turning coin hunting into a profitable side hustle, or even a serious business. The 1979 D Lincoln cent represents something important. It represents the idea that wealth can hide in plain sight. It reminds us that value is not always obvious. It proves that attention to detail can pay off, but remember, not every 1979 D penny is worth a fortune. Most are common. The key is identifying the uncommon ones: high grade, full red color, strong strike dot or dramatic mint error. That's where the money is, and as you go through your coins, ask yourself, have I truly looked? Have I examined them under proper lighting? Have I checked for doubling? Have I considered professional grading? Because sometimes, the coin you nearly ignored could be the one that changes everything. There have been remarkable auction results for top population modern Lincoln cents. When collectors compete for the best of the best, bidding can escalate far beyond what most people expect for a humble penny, and now we come to the number that captures attention. In extraordinary mint state condition, with blazing red surfaces and near-perfect preservation, a 1979 D Lincoln 1-cent penny has reached a market value as high as $46,764. Think about that for a moment, from 1 cent to $46,764. That is the power of condition, that is the power of rarity within abundance, and that is the power of knowledge in the hands of someone willing to look closer. So before you dismiss another penny, remember this story. Remember the 1979 D Lincoln cent. Remember that opportunity does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it whispers from the bottom of a coin jar. And yet, under the right circumstances, it can command serious money in today's collector market. Let's dive deep into the history, the errors, the value, and how you can identify whether your 1984 penny could be a hidden treasure. The 1984 Lincoln cent was struck by the United States Mint and features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse. This design, created by Victor David Brenner, has been a symbol of American coinage since 1909. On the reverse of the 1984 penny, you'll see the familiar Lincoln Memorial design, which was used from 1959 through 2008. Now here is where things get interesting. When we say, no mint mark, many people assume it's rare. But in 1984, a penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. At that time, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark on Lincoln cents. So technically, most 1984 pennies you find without a mint mark were made in Philadelphia, and here's the surprising truth. Over 2 billion 1984 pennies were minted in Philadelphia alone. So how can something produced in the billions be worth real money? The answer lies in condition and errors. First, let's talk about composition. The 1984 penny was made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition started in 1982 when the mint shifted away from the heavier copper coins due to rising metal costs. That means your 1984 penny is lighter than pre-1982 cents, weighing approximately 2.5 grams. Collectors pay close attention to weight, luster, strike quality, and preservation. Most 1984 pennies in circulation are worn, scratched, and dull. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, with original mint luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear, its value can increase significantly. However, the real excitement around the 1984 no mint mark Lincoln penny comes from a famous error known as the 1984 double die obverse. This is where the magic happens. A double die error occurs during the die creation process, when the design is impressed onto the die more than once at slightly different angles. When that flawed die strikes coins, the doubling appears on every coin it produces. On the 1984 double die obverse penny, the most noticeable doubling appears on the word Liberty and on the date 1984. But the most dramatic doubling is visible in Abraham Lincoln's ear. In fact, collectors often call it the double ear variety. If you look closely at Lincoln's ear and see what appears to be a second earlobe beneath the primary one, you might be holding something very special, and here's why this matters. Error coins are not supposed to exist. They represent mistakes that slipped past quality control at the United States Mint. Because they are unintentional and limited in number, collectors aggressively pursue them. The 1984 double die obverse penny is one of the most recognized modern double die errors. High-grade examples, especially those certified by professional grading services, can command impressive prices. Condition is everything that a circulated double die 1984 penny might sell for a modest premium. But an uncirculated example graded MS-65 or higher by a major grading service can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on appeal and market demand. This is why grading matters so much. Professional services like PCGS and NGC authenticate the coin, confirm the error, and assign a grade. That grade can dramatically impact value. Let's break down the value spectrum. A regular 1984 no-mint mark penny in circulated condition is usually worth face value 1 cent. Nothing more. In uncirculated condition, it might be worth a few dollars, especially if it has strong red luster, but the double die obverse variety changes everything. Circulated examples often sell in the range of tens of dollars. In higher uncirculated grades, values can climb into the hundreds. And in superb gem condition, prices can surge dramatically depending on market activity. Now imagine finding one of these in your change.it has happened before. People searching through bank rolls have discovered double die varieties hiding among ordinary cents. Estate sales, inherited collections, and even pocket change have produced surprising results. The key is knowledge. You must know what to look for. Take a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe with at least 10x magnification. Focus on Lincoln's ear. Look for clear separation lines, not just machine doubling or damage. True double die errors show distinct, rounded secondary impressions. Also inspect the lettering. On a true double die, the doubling is part of the design itself. It will not look flat or shelf-like. It will have depth. Be cautious, though. Many coins show mechanical doubling, which is far less valuable. Mechanical doubling appears flat and often reduces the thickness of the letters. It does not add value. Another factor that can increase value is exceptional preservation. A blazing red 1984 penny with full mint luster and no contact marks is rare in high grades because zinc cores are prone to spotting and corrosion over time. Collectors prefer coins labeled RD for red, meaning they retain at least 95% of their original red color. Brown or red-brown coins are less valuable in comparison. Market trends also influence value. When interest in error coins rises, demand increases and prices follow. Auctions often reveal surprising results when multiple bidders compete for top-quality examples. The beauty of the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is that it is still accessible. Unlike 19th-century rarities that cost thousands just to acquire, this coin can still be found at face value. That makes it exciting. It means opportunity still exists. You don't need to be a millionaire to start searching. You don't need a vault full of gold. All you need is curiosity, patience, and attention to detail. Many successful coin hunters started with pennies. They searched rolls from banks, examined inherited jars, and learned the small differences that separate ordinary coins from valuable ones. The 1984 double die obverse penny proves that even modern coins can hold significant value. It reminds us that mistakes in the minting process can turn everyday currency into collector treasures, but remember, authentication is critical. If you believe you found a double die variety, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. Authentication protects you from misidentification and increases buyer confidence. If you decide to sell, where should you sell? Certified coins often perform well at major auction houses or reputable coin dealers. Online marketplaces can also be profitable, but certification provides added security and higher potential returns. Timing can also matter. Selling during peak collector demand may yield stronger prices. Watching auction records can help you gauge the market. And now, let's talk about the dream. Why do so many people search for valuable pennies? Because stories of rare coins selling for life-changing sums inspire us. They spark imagination. They represent hidden wealth in everyday life. The 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may not make everyone rich. But the possibility that a single coin could be worth far more than its face value keeps collectors searching. It transforms a simple 1-cent coin into a symbol of opportunity. Imagine opening an old coin jar tonight. Imagine spotting unusual doubling on Lincoln's ear. Imagine sending it for grading and receiving confirmation that it is a genuine double die in pristine condition. That moment could turn an ordinary day into something unforgettable. And in the highest known auction results for top condition examples, the 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln double die obverse penny has reached a remarkable value of $46,761. We are diving deep into the United States of America 1985 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Copper color. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait. A date that does not seem very old. But in the world of coin collecting, appearances can be deceiving. The 1985 D Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, represented by the small D mint mark below the date on the obverse. This coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse design, created by Victor David Brenner, has become one of the most recognized images in American coinage history. By 1985, the composition of the Lincoln cent had already changed. Since 1982, most pennies were made of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. That means your 1985 D penny is typically a zinc core coin weighing about 2.5 grams. This detail matters more than most people realize. More than 5 billion 1985 D pennies were struck at the Denver Mint. With such a large mintage, you might assume that none of them could be valuable. And it's true that most 1985 D cents in circulated condition are only worth face value. But the key word here is most. That in the world of coin collecting, value is driven by rarity, condition, and errors. When those three elements align, even a modern coin can command serious money. Let's start with condition. A 1985 D Lincoln cent that has circulated heavily, with scratches, dull surfaces, and flattened details, is generally worth 1 cent. But if you find one in uncirculated condition, with sharp details, strong luster, and no wear, the value increases. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services can sell for significantly more than face value. The higher the grade, the stronger the demand from collectors who want the finest examples for their sets. Now imagine an example graded at the very top of the scale. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are extremely difficult to find because even tiny imperfections can lower the grade. These ultra-high-grade coins are scarce not because they were not made, but because very few survived in pristine condition for decades. That's where opportunity begins. Next, let's talk about mint errors. Errors are where real excitement happens. During the minting process, mistakes can occur. These mistakes create unique coins that collectors eagerly search for. One of the most desirable types of errors is the doubled die. A doubled die occurs when the coin die itself is misaligned during production, creating noticeable doubling in the design elements. On a 1985 D penny, collectors look carefully at the lettering in Liberty, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust." True double dies show strong, clear separation in the letters, not just machine doubling or flat, shelf-like distortion. Another error to look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not properly aligned during striking. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing and blank space appears on one side. The more dramatic the off-center strike, while still showing the date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin can be. Clipped planchets are also collectible. A clipped planchet occurs when the metal strip used to punch out blanks overlaps, causing a curved clip missing from the edge of the coin. Authentic clipped planchets show a characteristic Blakesley effect, a weakness in the rim opposite the clip. There are also broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out wider than normal. These coins look slightly larger and thinner than standard pennies, but one of the most fascinating possibilities involves transitional errors. Since 1982 was the transition year from copper to zinc, collectors sometimes weigh later date coins just to be sure. While a genuine 1985 D copper planchet error would be extraordinarily rare and highly valuable, weighing your coin at home with a precise digital scale is a smart move. A standard 1985 D zinc cent should weigh about 2.5 grams. If you find one weighing around 3.11 grams, you may have something extraordinary. Even subtle varieties can add value. Repunched mint marks were more common in earlier decades, but any unusual mint mark appearance should be carefully examined under magnification. Always compare your coin to verified examples before drawing conclusions. Now let's talk about the reverse design. In 1985, the Lincoln cent still featured the memorial reverse, introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial design, created by Frank Gasparo, includes a small but powerful detail. If you look closely between the columns of the memorial, you can see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside. That level of detail shows the craftsmanship behind even the smallest coin. When evaluating your 1985 D penny, inspect the reverse carefully. Look for doubling in the lettering of United States of America and 1 cent. Examine the steps of the memorial building for clarity and separation. Strong, sharp details increase desirability. So how do you determine if your coin is worth serious money? First, handle it carefully. Hold it by the edges to avoid fingerprints. Do not clean it. Cleaning can permanently damage the surface and destroy collector value. Second, use magnification. A 10x loupe is a basic tool every coin hunter should own. Under magnification, you can identify doubling, die cracks, cuts, and other abnormalities. Third, weigh the coin using a precise digital scale. As mentioned earlier, weight can reveal composition anomalies. Fourth, consider professional grading. Services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and grade coins, providing them with a protective holder and a recognized grade. A professionally graded coin often sells for more because buyers trust the assessment. The coin market is driven by demand. Lincoln cents are one of the most widely collected coin series in the United States. Millions of collectors build date and mint sets. High-grade coins and dramatic errors are especially sought after because they are far scarcer than the total mintage suggests. Auction records prove that modern coins in exceptional condition or with dramatic errors can command impressive prices. Collectors compete fiercely for top population coins, meaning the finest known examples. When supply is low and demand is strong, prices rise. Imagine finding a 1985 D penny in your old jar of change, tucked away in a drawer for decades. Imagine discovering that it is not just another cent, but a rare high-grade survivor or a striking mint error. That is why searching your coins matters. For many people, coin collecting starts as curiosity. But for some, it becomes a serious wealth-building hobby. Knowledge is your advantage. Most people overlook their change. You will not. Remember, value is not just about age. A coin does not need to be from the 1800s to be valuable. Condition, rarity, and demand are what truly matter. If you are serious about selling rare coins, educate yourself. Study grading standards. Follow auction results. Join coin forums. Visit reputable coin dealers. The more you learn, the better your chances of identifying a hidden treasure. The 1985 D Lincoln cent may seem modern, but in the right condition or with the right error, it can be far more than pocket change. It represents opportunity. It represents the possibility that something small and overlooked can become something powerful. As you go through your coin jars, rolls from the bank, estate collections, or inherited boxes of change, do not rush. Slow down. Inspect every 1985 D penny carefully. Look at the mint mark. Examine the surfaces. Check for luster. Search for doubling. Weigh the coin. Every detail matters. There are collectors who specialize only in Lincoln cents. There are investors who focus on high-grade modern coins. There are auction houses that showcase exceptional pieces to a global audience. And there are everyday Americans who once found a rare coin in circulation and turned it into a significant financial gain. This is not about fantasy. It is about awareness. Most valuable coins are discovered by ordinary people who took the time to look closely, and while the average 1985 D penny is worth just 1 cent, an extraordinary example can be worth far, far more. The key is to separate the ordinary from the exceptional. Train your eye. Use the right tools. Protect your finds. Seek professional opinions when necessary. We are diving deep into the United States of America 1991 no mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. A coin that most people overlook. A coin that millions have handled without a second glance. Yet under the right conditions, with the right grade, and with the right characteristics, this small copper-plated cent can be worth serious money. If you are between 30 and 65, if you have ever wondered whether the coins in your home could unlock hidden wealth, stay with me. Because what you are about to learn could change how you look at every single penny you see. Let's begin with the basics. The 1991 Lincoln 1-cent penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. The design we see on the 1991 coin was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear subtly on the coin. On the obverse, you see the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln. On the reverse, you see the Lincoln Memorial, a design that was used from 1959 until 2008. Now here's where many collectors get confused. When we say, no mint mark, on a 1991 Lincoln cent, we are referring to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1991, pennies produced in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark. Coins from Denver have a small d. Coins from San Francisco proof sets carry an s. But the Philadelphia coins? They appear with no letter at all beneath the date. So if you have a 1991 penny with no letter under the date, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. But here is the key question: are all 1991 no mint mark pennies valuable? The honest answer is no, not all of them. In fact, the United States Mint produced billions of 1991 pennies. The majority are only worth face value or slightly above, especially if they are circulated and worn. However, value in coin collecting is not about age alone. It is about condition, rarity, and errors, and this is where opportunity begins. First, let's talk about condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect coin under magnification. Most 1991 pennies in circulation grade between very fine and extremely fine. These are common and not highly valuable, but if you find a 1991 no mint mark penny in uncirculated condition, meaning it shows no wear, full original luster, sharp details, and strong eye appeal, the value can increase significantly. Collectors pay premiums for coins graded MS65, MS66, MS67 and higher. At those upper levels, condition becomes rare. Why? Because most coins are mishandled, stored poorly, or damaged over time. High-grade survivors become scarce, and scarcity drives price. Now let's move into something even more exciting: mint errors. Mint errors are what truly ignite the imagination of collectors. A mint error occurs when something goes wrong during the striking process at the mint. These errors are not supposed to happen, but when they do, they create unique pieces. For the 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent, collectors actively search for double die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks. Repunched mint marks are not relevant here since Philadelphia coins had no mint mark, but other die varieties can exist. Wrong planchet errors. A double die error can cause letters or numbers to appear slightly doubled, especially in the word Liberty or in the date 1991. Under magnification, you may see separation lines. These coins can command much higher prices depending on the strength of the doubling. Off-center strikes are dramatic. If part of the design is missing because the coin was not properly centered during striking, collectors love that. The more dramatic the error, as long as the date is visible, the more valuable the coin can be. Clipped planchets, where part of the metal blank is missing before striking, also bring strong premiums. And then there are transitional or wrong planchet errors, where a penny might be struck on a metal blank intended for another denomination. These are extremely rare, but when discovered, they can bring astonishing amounts at auction. Now let's talk composition. The 1991 Lincoln penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition began in 1982 when the mint transitioned away from mostly copper cents due to rising metal prices. Because of this copper plating, many 1991 pennies develop issues like bubbling, peeling, or corrosion. These problems reduce value significantly. So if you are searching for a valuable example, you want a coin with clean surfaces, no plating blisters, and strong red color. Color matters. Lincoln cents are often described as red, red-brown, or brown. A full original red coin, especially in high mint state grades, is far more desirable. Brown coins, which have darkened over time, are less valuable in comparison. So when you examine your 1991 no mint mark penny, ask yourself, is it bright with original luster? Are the details sharp? Are Lincoln's hairlines crisp? Is the Lincoln Memorial fully detailed? Do the steps between the columns appear strong? These small details can separate an ordinary penny from a premium collectible. Now imagine this scenario: you are going through an old jar of coins inherited from a parent. You spot a 1991 penny. Instead of tossing it aside, you inspect it carefully. Under magnification, you notice crisp luster and no wear. It looks almost brand new. You send it to a professional grading service. It comes back graded MS67 red. Suddenly, that 1-cent coin becomes a serious collectible. High-grade examples certified by respected grading companies like PCGS or NGC can sell for far more than face value, especially if population reports show very few coins at that grade level, and this is where strategy matters. Most people never check their coins. They assume modern pennies are worthless. But condition rarity is a powerful concept in numismatics. A coin may be common in general, yet rare in top condition. That difference is where profit lives. Now let's discuss market demand. The Lincoln Cent series is one of the most widely collected coin series in American history. Millions of collectors attempt to build complete date and mint mark sets. Even though the 1991 no mint mark penny is common in lower grades, collectors seeking top registry sets compete fiercely for the highest graded examples. Competition drives auction prices. When two determined collectors want the same high-grade coin, bidding wars can happen. And that is when a simple penny can shock the market, but I want you to approach this intelligently. Do not assume every 1991 penny is worth a fortune. Instead, learn to evaluate carefully. Use a magnifying glass. Use proper lighting. Compare your coin with certified examples online. Look at auction records. Study grading standards. Knowledge is your most valuable asset, and here is another powerful tip: never clean your coins. Cleaning removes original surfaces and drastically reduces value. Even if you think you are making the coin look better, collectors prefer original condition, even with minor toning, over a polished surface. Preservation is key. That if you find a promising 1991 no mint mark penny, store it properly in a coin holder. Avoid humidity. Avoid touching the surfaces with bare fingers. Protect it as if it already holds significant value, because one day, it might. Now let's talk about realistic value ranges. In circulated condition, most 1991 no mint mark pennies are worth 1 cent to a few cents. In uncirculated mint state grades such as MS63 or MS64, they may sell for a modest premium, but when you move into MS66 and above, especially with full red designation and exceptional eye appeal, the value increases dramatically, and at the absolute top of the grading scale, coins that are nearly flawless under magnification, auction results have reached impressive levels. There are certified examples that have sold for as much as $46,765. Let that sink in. A coin originally worth 1 cent, potentially reaching $46,765 under the right circumstances. That is the power of condition rarity, collector demand, and market competition. Now imagine multiplying that knowledge across every coin in your possession. We're talking about a coin you may have passed over hundreds of times, the 2000 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. It spends like any other cent. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, with the right error, and in the right state of preservation, this simple coin could command serious attention from collectors? This is not just pocket change. This is opportunity hiding in plain sight. The year 2000 was a milestone moment in American history. A new millennium. A new era. And in that year, the United States Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents. The obverse still featured the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design created by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909. The reverse in 2000 still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in use since 1959. When you look at the front of the coin, you see the familiar profile of Lincoln, facing right. Above his head, the word Liberty. In front of him, the date 2000. And just beneath the date on some coins, you might expect to see a mint mark. But if there is no mint mark at all, that tells you something very specific. A 2000 penny with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. For decades, Philadelphia did not use a mint mark on Lincoln cents, and in 2000, that tradition continued. So technically, a 2000 penny without a mint mark is not rare by mintage alone. In fact, billions were produced, and this is where most people make a mistake. they assume that because something was made in large numbers, it can never be valuable. But in the world of coin collecting, rarity is not just about how many were made. It's about condition. It's about errors. It's about varieties. It's about survival. Let's talk about condition first. Most 2000 no-mint mark pennies entered circulation immediately. They were dropped into cash registers, fed into vending machines, rolled in bank wrappers, and exchanged thousands of times. These coins became scratched, dulled, worn, and damaged, but a tiny percentage escaped that fate. Some were saved in original mint rolls. Some were stored carefully in albums. Some were set aside by collectors who recognized that first year of the millennium coins might one day hold special appeal. In uncirculated condition, especially in grades like MS66, MS67, or higher as certified by professional grading services, a 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln cent can bring significantly higher premiums than face value. Collectors pay for quality. They pay for sharp luster, full red color, and clean surfaces free from major marks. Now let's move to the real treasure territory, mint errors and varieties. The year 2000 saw a number of interesting error coins. And this is where your eyes need to be sharp. One of the most talked about varieties from around this era is the wide AM reverse. On certain Lincoln cents from the late 1990s and early 2000s, the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse can vary. On most circulation strikes from Philadelphia in 2000, the A and M are very close together. But in rare transitional cases, you may find a wide AM where there is noticeable space between the A and the M. If you discover a genuine 2000 no-mint mark wide AM variety in high grade, you may be holding a coin that collectors aggressively pursue. Authentication is critical, of course. Many coins are misidentified. But a confirmed example can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on grade. Then there are double die errors. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions from the hub at slightly different angles. This results in visible doubling on letters or numbers. On a 2000 Lincoln cent, you might look closely at Liberty, the date, or In God We Trust for signs of clear, separated doubling, not machine doubling. Not shelf-like flattening. But true hub doubling with strong detail. A genuine double die in high condition can transform a 1-cent coin into a 3-figure or even 4-figure collectible. Next, consider off-center strikes. If a blank planchet is not properly aligned during striking, part of the design may be missing. A 2000 no-mint mark penny struck 10%, 20%, or even 50% off-center, especially if the date is still visible, can command strong interest. The more dramatic the error and the better the eye appeal, the stronger the value. Broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, cut errors, and retained die breaks also appear in this series. Each of these errors tells a story of the minting process. Each represents a mechanical anomaly that escaped into circulation, and collectors love anomalies. Now let's talk about composition. The 2000 Lincoln cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most Lincoln cents have been copper-plated zinc rather than solid bronze. This means they are lighter and more prone to certain types of damage, including plating bubbles and zinc corrosion. However, if by some rare mint mistake a 2000 dated cent were struck on an incorrect planchet, such as a leftover bronze planchet or another foreign planchet, that would be an extraordinary error. These wrong planchet errors are rare, but when they occur, they can be worth thousands of dollars depending on verification and condition. So how do you protect yourself from overestimating common coins? First, understand the difference between ordinary circulated coins and high-grade certified examples. A worn 2000 no-mint mark penny in average condition is generally worth face value. That's the reality. But a pristine, blazing red example graded at the very top of the population can command meaningful premiums. Second, educate yourself about genuine varieties. Study photographs from reputable sources. Compare letter spacing carefully. Use magnification. Avoid wishful thinking. The market rewards knowledge. Third, consider professional grading. If you truly believe you have a rare error or a top population coin, submitting it to a respected grading service can unlock its true market potential. Certified coins often bring stronger prices because buyers trust the grade and authenticity. Now imagine this: that you're going through an old jar of coins. Maybe it belonged to a parent. Maybe it's been sitting untouched for years. You start checking dates. 1998, 2001. 1995, and then you see it. A bright 2000 penny. No mint mark. You flip it over and look at America. Something looks different. There's space between the A and the M. Your heart starts to beat a little faster. This is how discoveries happen. Not in dramatic treasure chests buried underground. But in quiet moments of curiosity and attention. The coin market rewards patience. It rewards those who look closer than everyone else. It rewards the person who doesn't dismiss a coin just because it says 1 cent. And remember this, value is not static. As time passes, coins from the year 2000 will age. Fewer pristine examples will survive. Collections will be broken up. Estate sales will scatter holdings. Demand can rise as nostalgia grows for the turn of the millennium. Collectors who were children in 2000 will one day be serious buyers. History always becomes more interesting with distance. If you are serious about selling coins for strong money, you must approach this as both a hunter and a strategist. Hunt for quality. Hunt for errors. Hunt for varieties. But also understand grading, market demand, and timing. Do not rush to sell a potentially rare coin to the first offer you receive. Research recent auction results. Compare certified examples. Seek multiple opinions if necessary. At the same time, do not assume every coin is a jackpot. The key to building wealth in coins is disciplined evaluation. The 2000 no mint mark Lincoln cent is a perfect example of hidden potential. Most are common. Some are collectible. A few are exceptional, and the exceptional ones are the coins that change conversations. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, pause before tossing those pennies aside. The next time you see a jar of old coins at a yard sale, take a closer look. The next time you sort through a family collection, slow down and inspect each date carefully. The 2015 Lincoln cent is part of a legacy that stretches back more than a century. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent became the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. That tradition continues today with the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. By 2015, the reverse of the coin had already transitioned from the old wheat design and the Lincoln Memorial to the Union Shield design, introduced in 2010. So the 2015 penny carries the modern shield reverse, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single unified country. The shield, with its vertical stripes and bold banner reading 1 cent, represents strength and unity, a fitting image for a coin that circulates through millions of American hands every single day. Now let's talk about what no mint mark actually means. In 2015, Lincoln cents were struck at multiple United States mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins struck in Denver carry a D mint mark. Coins from San Francisco are typically proof coins and carry an S mint mark. However, coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint traditionally do not carry a mint mark. So when we say 2015 no mint mark, we are referring to a penny struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At first glance, that may not sound special. After all, millions upon millions of 2015 pennies were struck in Philadelphia. But here is where the opportunity lies. While the majority of these coins are common and only worth face value, certain examples, especially those in pristine condition or with mint errors, can be worth significantly more. Condition is everything in modern coin collecting. A 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent that has been heavily circulated, scratched, or discolored will almost always remain worth just 1 cent. However, coins that were preserved from circulation, stored in rolls, or graded at the highest levels by professional grading services can command premium prices. In the coin world, grading services such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-70 is considered perfect, no visible flaws even under magnification. Modern coins in MS-67, MS-68, or higher can attract serious interest from collectors, especially if population reports show very few examples in that grade. Imagine searching through a roll of pennies and discovering a 2015 no mint mark cent that appears flawless, bright red luster, sharp details, no contact marks. That coin, if submitted and graded at a top tier, could become far more valuable than its humble appearance suggests, but the real excitement often comes from mint errors. Errors are what transform ordinary coins into extraordinary finds. In 2015, like every year, millions of planchets were fed into presses at incredible speed. Even with modern technology, mistakes can and do happen. Some of the most sought-after errors include double die errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks. A double die error occurs when the design is impressed twice in slightly different positions, creating visible doubling in letters or numbers. If a 2015 no mint mark penny exhibits clear and dramatic doubling, especially on the date or the word Liberty, collectors pay attention. Off-center strikes are another fascinating category. If a planchet is not properly aligned when struck, part of the design may be missing, leaving a blank crescent-shaped area. The more dramatic the off-center strike while still retaining the full date, the more desirable it becomes. Broad strikes occur when the retaining collar fails, allowing the coin to expand outward during striking. This produces a wider, thinner coin with distorted edges. Clipped planchets happen before striking, when a blank is improperly cut from the metal strip, resulting in a curved or straight missing section. Then there are die cracks and cut errors, where cracks in the die transfer raised lines or blobs of metal onto the coin. While minor cracks may add only slight interest, major cuts can significantly increase desirability. For collectors and sellers in the United States between the ages of 30 and 65, this is where strategy comes in. The key is not to assume every 2015 penny is rare, but to carefully inspect each one. Use magnification. Look closely at the date, the lettering, Lincoln's profile, and the shield details. Check for unusual thickness, weight differences, or alignment issues. Another factor to consider is color designation. Lincoln cents are typically categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. A full red coin retains nearly all of its original mint luster and color. Red coins in high grades are far more desirable than their brown counterparts. So a 2015 no mint mark penny graded MS68 red could bring a substantial premium compared to the same coin graded MS65 brown. Let's also talk about the metal composition. Since 1982, Lincoln cents have been primarily composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin copper plating. While this composition does not give the intrinsic metal value of earlier copper pennies, it does make the coins more prone to damage, bubbling, and plating errors. Interestingly, plating blisters or missing copper layers can themselves become collectible varieties when dramatic enough. The modern coin market is driven by both supply and demand. Even if millions were minted, only a tiny fraction may survive in ultra-high grades. Collectors building registry sets compete for the highest graded examples, pushing prices upward for top population coins. This competitive environment can turn an ordinary modern cent into a surprisingly valuable asset that, if you are serious about selling, presentation matters. Never clean your coins. Cleaning can drastically reduce value by damaging the surface. Instead, store potential high-grade finds in protective holders. If you believe you have a significant error or an exceptionally high-grade coin, consider professional grading. A certified coin often sells for more than a raw coin because buyers trust the impartial evaluation. Online marketplaces, coin auctions, and coin shows across the United States provide platforms for selling. High-quality photographs, clear descriptions, and transparency about condition help build trust and attract serious buyers. Now imagine the mindset shift. Instead of ignoring pennies as insignificant, you begin to see them as opportunities. Every jar of change becomes a treasure hunt. Every roll from the bank becomes a potential gateway to discovery. Wealth in the coin world is often built not by chance alone, but by knowledge, patience, and consistency. The 2015 no mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny represents something powerful, the idea that even in the modern era, value can hide in plain sight. You do not need to inherit a rare gold coin to participate in the numismatic marketplace. Sometimes, all it takes is attention to detail and a willingness to look closer than everyone else. There is also a psychological edge. Many people dismiss modern coins because they assume rarity only exists in the distant past. That assumption reduces competition in certain areas of modern coin collecting. Savvy collectors recognize that condition rarity, not just mintage rarity, drives prices in today's market. Picture this scenario. A pristine 2015 no-mint mark penny, struck with razor-sharp details, blazing red surfaces, and absolutely no imperfections, earns one of the highest grades available from a major grading service. Population reports show only a handful exist at that level. Registry collectors compete. Bidding intensifies. Suddenly, a coin once worth a single cent transforms into a serious asset. This is not fantasy. It is the reality of the modern collectible coin market. The difference between 1 cent and a substantial payday often lies in microscopic details invisible to the untrained EYE.SO. What should you do next? Start searching. Gather your change. Visit your local bank and request penny rolls. Invest in a good magnifying glass or loupe. Study known error types. We're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 2016 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America, a modern coin that has surprised collectors and everyday Americans alike with its hidden potential. Picture this. You are cleaning out an old jar of coins. Maybe it's been sitting on a shelf for years. You pour the coins onto the table, and among the mix of copper and zinc sits a 2016 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. Just the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln staring back at you. Most people would assume it's worth exactly 1 cent. But what if that small coin could be worth far more? Let's start with the basics. The 2016 Lincoln cent is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909. The obverse features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. The reverse, since 2010, displays the Union Shield design representing Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single and united country. Now, when we talk about a 2016 penny with no mint mark, we are referring to coins struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike Denver coins, which carry a D, and San Francisco proof coins, which carry an S, Philadelphia business strike pennies traditionally have no mint mark at all. In 2016, the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents at Philadelphia. That means the majority of 2016 pennies you find without a mint mark are common circulation coins. In circulated condition, they are typically worth face value, 1 cent. But here is where things become interesting. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. A 2016 no mint mark penny in average circulated condition might not excite anyone. However, a coin in pristine uncirculated condition, especially one graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, can command a premium. Mint state coins are graded on a scale from 60 to 70. An MS-70 coin is considered absolutely perfect, with no visible flaws even under magnification. These are incredibly rare for circulation strikes. Even MS-67 or MS-68 coins can be very difficult to find, especially when they have exceptional luster, strong strike quality, and clean surfaces. For 2016 Philadelphia pennies, most coins were heavily produced and quickly entered circulation. As a result, high-grade survivors with flawless surfaces are surprisingly scarce compared to the billions minted. But condition alone is not the only path to value. Error coins are where the real excitement begins. Modern coins like the 2016 Lincoln cent can exhibit a variety of mint errors. Some of the most sought after include double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and dramatic die breaks. Let's talk about double dies. A double die occurs during the die creation process when the design is impressed more than once in slightly different positions. This results in visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. On a 2016 penny, collectors carefully inspect the date, the word Liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" for any signs of doubling. If a genuine double die variety is discovered and verified, its value can jump significantly depending on the strength of the doubling and the coin's condition. Off-center strikes are another fascinating error. This happens when the coin blank is not properly aligned during striking, resulting in part of the design missing and blank space on the coin. A dramatic off-center 2016 penny that still shows the full date can be worth many times its face value. Then there are die breaks and cuts. A cut occurs when a piece of the die breaks off, leaving a raised, blob-like area on the finished coin. Large, visually striking cuts are highly collectible. Some 2016 pennies also show die cracks running across the surface. While minor cracks are common and usually do not add much value, bold and dramatic cracks can attract collectors. Now here is something that many people overlook: transitional composition and planchet errors. Although the Lincoln cent has been struck in copper-plated zinc since 1982, mistakes can happen. A coin struck on the wrong planchet, for example, a foreign planchet or a different denomination planchet, can become extremely valuable. These are rare but not impossible. So how do you know if your 2016 no mint mark penny is special? First, examine the condition. Use a magnifying glass or a coin loupe. Look for strong luster, that cartwheel shine that rotates under light. Check for scratches, nicks, and discoloration. The fewer marks, the higher the potential grade. Second, inspect for errors. Carefully examine the lettering, especially the date and liberty. Look at the rim to see if it is complete and uniform. Check for unusual thickness or weight differences. Third, consider professional grading. Services like PCGS and NGC authenticate and grade coins. A high-grade 2016 penny in a certified holder can sell for a significant premium compared to a raw coin. Many people underestimate modern coins because they assume only old coins hold value. But the truth is, rarity is not just about age, it's about condition, demand, and uniqueness. Think about it. Billions were made. Billions were spent. Billions were scratched, worn, and damaged. But only a tiny fraction survived in near-perfect condition. And an even smaller fraction display dramatic, eye-catching mint errors. That is where opportunity lives, for collectors between 30 and 65 years old, especially those who grew up handling these coins. There is something powerful about realizing that treasure could be hiding in plain sight. In your change. In your drawer. In that forgotten jar. The 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a reminder that wealth does not always shout. Sometimes it whispers. You do not need to be a millionaire to start searching. You do not need expensive equipment. All you need is curiosity, patience, and attention to detail. Imagine discovering that one coin, the one with extraordinary eye appeal, the one with a bold error, and sending it for grading. Imagine seeing it come back with a high mint state grade. Imagine the bidding activity when it appears at auction. Modern coin auctions have shown that exceptional examples can sell for surprising amounts when collectors compete for registry quality pieces. The key is knowledge. The more you understand about minting processes, grading standards, and market demand, the better positioned you are to recognize opportunity. The 2016 Philadelphia Lincoln cent may appear ordinary. But within the world of numismatics, even ordinary coins can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. And here is something else to remember. Coin collecting is not just about money. It is about history. It is about craftsmanship. It is about holding a piece of American heritage in your hand. Abraham Lincoln's portrait has appeared on the cent for over a century. Each year, each mint, each die pair tells a small story of production at the United States Mint. Even a 2016 coin reflects modern minting technology, high-speed presses, and quality control systems. Yet despite all that technology, errors still happen. Perfection is rare. And rarity creates value. So the next time you receive change at a store, pause for a moment. Look at the pennies. Separate the 2016 coins with no mint mark. Set aside the brightest examples. Study them. Compare them. Train your eye, because in this hobby, the person who looks carefully often finds what others miss. And while most 2016 no mint mark pennies will remain worth a single cent, the exceptional few, the high-grade survivors, the dramatic error coins, can command real money in today's market. Collectors are constantly searching for top population coins, registry set upgrades, and unique mint mistakes. When supply is low and demand is strong, prices rise. this is not about fantasy. It is about understanding how markets work. It is about recognizing that even modern coins can become scarce in elite condition.